Hey everybody, so today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going outside, taking a page out of Tectone's book, really, because I don't go outside nearly enough and I'm pale as paper. But today I wanted to talk about this thing I've seen recently out in the Genshin community, mostly on YouTube and on Twitter, about how there's a lot of burnout and people are quitting, and there is it's just a lot of people have basically called it quits. I've seen Damon Kim quitting, which he's an almost 200,000 subscriber creator that did Genshin until very recently, and he quit. Jas E is a Genshin creator that isn't as big as Damon Kim and all the other big names, but he recently made a video about quitting, and it sort of blew up. And he sort of has grown a lot because of that video as well, and he raises a lot of valid points, so it has brought a lot of discussion in the community. And MTash alluded to quitting if Inazuma doesn't blow out of the water, which, yes, admittedly, MTash has said that he will quit 4 times already, but it's more about the sentiment of what he's saying and the words he's saying rather than the fact that he's gonna quit again. I personally do not feel burnt out, but that is mostly because I had a rage quit back in November, October-ish, late October, the beginning of November probably. It was right after the child banner, because I wished on child and I didn't get him the first time around, and I rage quit and it didn't play until January. So I had a lot of content to catch up to, and I still have a lot of things to do. Well, not anymore really, but I've seen myself play the game less and less. Yesterday I almost forgot to log in for my welcome moon. What am I? But in terms of the big consensus that the community is sort of getting burnt out, I sort of predicted this would happen actually in my predicting every update in Genshin Impact video, which I said although 1.5 was a really good update, it didn't add something that had the original view of the game. And Serenity Pot and Furnishing was the best for some people, me included. I love the Serenity Pot. But some people couldn't care less. And for people who couldn't care less, they only got 2 hangout events, 1 completely new boss, and a new hypostasis cube. Which, if you look back along the updates, we got 1.3, which was alright. We got 1.4, which was generally considered bad and empty. And then we got 1.5, which for people like me, it was amazing. But for a lot of people, it literally had a reskin of a boss, a new boss, and 2 hangout events. So there's a lot of people that are being left out right now. And the general consensus from the player base and the creator landscape as a whole, at least on, like I said, YouTube, on Twitter, is that the game is a rather concerning state right now, because a lot of people do not have the incentive to continue playing. Like I said, there's just not that many things to do in Genshin right now. The current active events are the Talent Book event. The Mimi Tomo event, I think, is ending literally tomorrow. I'm not sure. I haven't checked the dates on the events. I did log into Genshin today already, but and then I think that's it. Unless I'm forgetting an event, which, ouch. But that explains, that is further proof as to why Genshin feels so empty right now. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier with the Serenity Pop bit, the game just hasn't had any more meaningful, permanent content, since, Dragon Spine? That's so long ago. That was one point, when was that? I forgot. I wasn't playing the game actively when that happened, because I rage quit. But, everything that we have gotten has been small things, a couple of quests, the new small Archon quests, some bosses, some of which are just reskins, like the Hypostasis Cube, the Cryo Cube, and things that don't really fit in the original vision of the game, which, the Serenity Pot is cool, but the game is a gacha RPG team comp builder numbers game, and the Serenity Pot is Animal Crossing. They're just completely 2 different games. So a lot of people, I feel don't realize why we're getting only event content and no permanent content aside from a couple things here and there. We have to remember that Genshin Impact is first and foremost a casual mobile game. And I feel like a lot of people have forgotten that. When I started playing, and I feel like a lot of people still have this mindset, I came into the game with the expectation that this is going to be something like Breath of the Wild, but with, a cool team builder element. But I always kept this small little detail in the back of my mind saying, this is a gacha game, this is a mobile game. And I feel like has become more and more apparent over the time that the mobile game aspect of Genshin Impact is prioritized. Just like Fire Emblem Heroes, just like Pokemon Masters EX, that I've played before, this game is a gacha game, and we have to... There's a plane above me. Okay, the plane's gone. So what I was saying is that just like other previous gacha games, we have to keep in mind that this is a mobile game. And what does it mean that it's a mobile game? That it's a game for mobile devices, phones? Is that phones have less space, meaning that cyclical and event-based content is better for Mihoyo in order to keep down file size, because they could just delete previous events like the Mondstadt Windbloom Festival. They could just delete it and add new events for the next update, and then when the next update after that arrives, they delete the one from the previous, etc., etc. Inazuma was probably pushed to 1.7, even though it was promised a long time ago, probably just to optimize the file size. What a nice little bird. So here's where I go into more of a personal thing that I think the community should do. Is we should be more mindful of our expectations as a community. When the biggest creators like Tectone, which love you Techie, Eggy love, but when they constantly talk about how the game needs more permanent content to their audiences, I feel like it's setting the wrong expectations, because I don't think that will ever become a normal thing, a thing that will just happen all the time. Permanent content will most likely only come whenever the game is truly in a bad situation, which I feel like now the game is and will be starting in 1.6 with a bunch of people quitting. Because the more permanent content Mihoyo adds, the more restricted the mobile player base becomes due to hardware limitations. If the game becomes too big, then people will have to either, decide between another game and Genshin, or, apps that they need to have, like social media apps or work apps or whatever, and Genshin. And a lot of times, a lot of people will end up deciding deleting Genshin, because Genshin is a great game, but you can't compete with work apps. You need your phone to work. So at the end of the day, if it's between a game and a work app, you will most likely ditch the game. And the last thing Mihoyo wants is to have less mobile players when the large majority of their players, especially in Asian countries where most of the players that they have are mobile players. So what can Mihoyo do in order to, fix this issue, circumvent the issue of lack of content? Well, to be honest, not a lot. Sadly enough, like we discussed before, adding permanent content is not a solution. Like new areas, new mechanics, that's just not going to happen, because that really harms the availability of their main player base. However, I believe that the best way to fix the issue is not to add new content, but just to make the content we already have more accessible and replayable. Which, wow, that's something no one has said before. But I think we have to really keep that in mind. And I think I have some pretty cool and original ideas, in my opinion. I have yoinked a couple. I will admit, I have yoinked a couple. But, for example, number one, it is fucking disgusting that the amazing character story quests like Zhongli's, Xiao's, Venti's, etc. can only be done once. It makes sense from a lore standpoint if they don't want us to repeat Archon quests, sure. But let us do the character story quests as much as we want. It could literally be for 0 rewards, and just a lot of people will play them again because they love those characters and want to go through that story again after some time, and it'll give people something to do. Preferably they would throw in something like maybe 10k Mora as a reward for doing a story quest again every day. I don't know, you do if you really want to grind out Mora, you can do all of the story quests, and that would take you a long time to do, and that would give you a good amount of Mora. I feel like that's a balanced thing, but you can only do them once, so that we don't, find the fastest story quest and just grind through it, you know what I mean? Secondly, make artifacts more bearable. Please, just anything. Mihoyo, it is disgusting that I've farmed artifacts for Zhongli for a month and I still haven't gotten anything near what most people in the late game would consider a good artifact. And literally all I want is to make my Zhongli an HP sponge, which is the easiest build to get. It's crazy that it takes so long to get the artifacts you want. Oh my god. Let us choose what art. I feel like a pretty cool thing we could do, that, well, Mihoyo could do, is to let us choose what artifact we want to farm whenever we enter a domain, right? I've seen other people suggest this idea for choosing what weapon you would want in the weapon banner, because the weapon banner has 2 5-stars, but I feel like this could also apply for, oh my god, there's this. But yeah, so I was saying, I think this idea could also apply to artifacts and domains. You could, before entering, you could choose, I don't know, I want the Millilith set more. And instead of a 50-50 chance between getting the Millilith and the Pale Flame set, now it's a 25% chance for the Pale Flame and 75% chance for the Millilith, which would make it a lot more bearable for grinding for certain artifacts, and we don't have to spend like a week to get one okay artifact. After that, let us re-roll our substats for the artifacts, because like the chances of you getting a really good artifact base stats, you know, like you get a crit rate hat with a crit rate circlet with crit damage, attack percent attack, and like, I don't know, energy recharge or something like that. And then you roll all of it in flat attack instead of crit damage on your substat. Let us re-roll the substats, please, because now that artifact, even though it's really good, is not what you wanted, and you have to do all the process of getting a crit rate or crit damage circlet all over again. In a perfect world, Mihoyo would also allow us to reroll main stat for the Goblet Sands circlet artifacts, but you know, that's wishful thinking. And finally, for the artifacts, please lower the amount of Mora needed to level them up, or increase the amount of Mora that we get from other things. It is outrageously expensive to level up artifacts past like level 16 or 12 sometimes even, because even for someone like me that buys the battle pass every single time and clears every event shop every single time, so I cannot imagine what completely free-to-play players have to go through in order to get all the Mora they need for their artifacts. It's crazy. On that point, please give us more Mora. It is crazy that expeditions that I send someone for like literally 20 to 16 hours, I forgot how long it is, it only gives you 5,000 Mora for the longest duration. Like, that literally lets you buy nothing. That's like, what, 50,000 XP on an artifact? I forgot the artifact to Mora conversion ratio, but like, it's an insult. It's insulting to have to get 5,000 Mora per day, practically. It's just... Also, maybe lower the prices of certain things, like I said before, like maybe lower the prices of talent level ups slightly, and artifact XP, like I mentioned earlier. It just, if not, just add more chances to get us more, like make literally the overworld drop like 10 times more Mora. I think that could be a nice in-between. I don't know. And, because I cannot go through a rant video without mentioning it, please do something about resin, for the love of God. Add more chances to get resin in while we're playing. Like, finish the dailies and we get, like, give us a resin that we can only use for the day. I kind of stole that one from Techie. Thank you, Techie. Appreciate it. You can also just increase the rate to get resin in the game. Like, if you want, you can drop down the max total back to whatever it was when the game started, which I completely forgot what that was. But please increase the rate, because doesn't matter how fast, doesn't matter how big the cap is, I never reached the cap for the resin, so it doesn't matter. if I have a 320 resin cap, if we still generate it equally as slow, I will only use like 140 at a time, if that. And finally, please, preferably, drop ascension material bosses like the cubes and the flowers down to 30 resin, like the weekly bosses, because that will let us squeeze in like one more boss per full resin max total. And I feel like that would it wouldn't take like a literal week to get all the materials to ascend one character from 80 to 90. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. But I do understand that one is more of just, they also want to slow down our progression right now. But yeah, I don't know. I love the game. I love Genshin, and it really saddens me to see all of these people who have legitimate criticisms and legitimate concerns for the future of the game quitting, because the game deserves a lot of love, and it's such a special game, and Mihoyo could do so much good for the game. But I feel like the most simple of stuff, like like I said, the repeating story quests, giving us a little bit more that type of stuff, I feel like they're really dropping the ball, and it's doing a lot of damage to the community, in my opinion. But with that said, thank you everybody so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. There's also a TikTok coming out. I'll see if I can actually squeeze making it while I edit this video, because this video has been done at the very end of the day. I'm also going to be streaming at 4 p.m. CST, right as this video comes out, actually. I'm going to be streaming Resident Evil 7, the DLCs, so if you wanted to just drop on by. But with that said, blah blah bless, all the love, and I'll catch you either on my stream or next week. See ya.